a deadly force of nature that struck without warning.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're taking a look at 10 of the worst natural disasters of the 2000s.
Many of the villages along the shore are eradicated from the landscape.
These people, they lost their homes then, and so far they haven't got their homes back.
Many foreign governments and international groups have also pledged to help.
For this list, we're looking at the most devastating and deadly storms, earthquakes, tsunamis, floods, mudslides, heat waves, and other natural phenomena the planet experienced from 2000 to 2009. Let us know in the comments which of these events you'll always remember. Number 10. Hurricane Katrina.
As its winds reach 39 miles per hour, it becomes a tropical storm and is given a name, Katrina.
For many, the memory of this hurricane that ravaged the southeast coast of the United States in 2005 remains all too vivid. Given the widespread damage and a death toll of over 1,800 people, the government response was widely criticized as insufficient.
It was a failure of government at every level. The scale of Hurricane Katrina overwhelmed the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. They were not prepared for a crisis of that size.
While Cuba and parts of Florida were also hit, roughly 80% of New Orleans was submerged in water due to the failure of the city's flood barriers, which had not been properly maintained. A lack of proper facilities meant people were forced to take shelter in the Superdome. Katrina remains one of the costliest hurricanes on record, generating $125 billion in damages. Number 9. Hurricane Jeanne. Of the 3,037 lives lost in this disaster, almost all of them occurred in Haiti, the country hit hardest by the storm.
It first struck Puerto Rico on September 15th as a tropical storm, but the next day it blasted the island of Hispaniola as a hurricane, and unfortunately 18 people died in the Dominican Republic and 3,000 died in Haiti as this hurricane came across Hispaniola.
The Category 3 hurricane eventually became the deadliest storm of 2004, causing billions of dollars in damages in addition to its devastating death toll. 250,000 Haitians were left homeless by Jeanne when widespread flooding and dangerous mudslides destroyed many homes.
This is normally the road going into the town we're going to, and the town is underwater, it is flooded. That's where the majority of the people died, and probably far more than are known so far.
It was the rain rather than high winds that caused most of the chaos, bringing flash floods not only to the Caribbean, but eventually to most of the U.S.'s eastern seaboard, destroying food supplies in the process.
The Indian River swallowed up boats. Condos and hotels were damaged up and down the coast. Huge stretches of beaches were washed away. People's property, even pools, swept out to sea.
Reality hits you and the winds start whipping up and the dune starts to erode and it takes your pool right off your back deck. It's time to move to a little higher ground real quick.
It reached as far north as New Jersey before it finally dissipated. Number 8. The 2006 Yogyakarta Earthquake. Over 5,700 people lost their lives after this earthquake struck Java, Indonesia's most populous island, in May of 2006. The earthquake's epicenter was close to the major city of Yogyakarta and was unfortunately a very shallow quake. Add to that a magnitude of 6.4, and this meant the shaking was stronger and spread much further than it would have if it had been deeper in the ground. Homes, roads, and infrastructure were destroyed, which greatly hindered the relief effort. Much of the damage was caused by the poor build quality of the structures in the region, which easily collapsed under the stress of the earthquake. Soil liquefaction and landslides worsened an already dire situation. Number 7. Cyclone Sidr. Years later, and the true death toll of Cyclone Sidr still isn't known. The cyclone struck Bangladesh in 2007, and estimates range from roughly 3,400 casualties to a significantly higher figure of 15,000.
We had to travel by boat to reach these villages. On the river, it became dramatically clear how powerful the storm had been.
Sidr brought with it wind speeds of roughly 160 miles per hour and huge storm surges. On top of the deaths, more than 1,000 people were reported missing in the disaster, with tens of thousands needing medical treatment for their injuries.
We've seen first video coming from the coastline showing massive amounts of destruction. We heard from aid organizations saying 60 to 70% of the buildings along that southern coastline were completely destroyed.
Many also contracted diseases and infections from the floodwaters. Sidr was one of the most lethal and costly disasters to ever strike Bangladesh, leading to over $2.3 billion in damages.
Many foreign governments and international groups have also pledged to help, including the United States, which offered $2.1 million, and the United Nations, which promised $7 million. Tropical Cyclone Sidr was the worst cyclone to hit Bangladesh in a decade.
Number 6. The 2001 Gujarat Earthquake. On the 26th of January 2001, the Indian state of Gujarat was hit by an inland earthquake with a 7.7 magnitude. Immediately, the shallow quake caused widespread destruction in many major cities. Hundreds of thousands of houses were destroyed, and many other important buildings besides, including 2 hospitals in Puj. All in all, up to 20,000 people, mostly in India but also in Pakistan, were killed by the disaster. Over 166,000 people were injured, and crops were destroyed, causing food shortages. It took a long time for the severe damage to be repaired, and for Gujarat to recover. Number 5. The 2003 European heat wave.
It has already been an exceptional summer, but today temperatures soared higher than ever before.
The summer of 2003 brought soaring temperatures to Western Europe, resulting in thousands of deaths, with estimates ranging between 30,000 and 70,000. Of those, nearly 15,000 died in France and 12,000 in Spain, with thousands more losing their lives in the Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, and Portugal. For over a week, France experienced temperatures exceeding 104 degrees Fahrenheit.
What you see over there are the zinc roofs of Paris. People were baking in there. The police were opening doors only to find corpses behind them.
Unused to such conditions, and with most homes lacking air conditioning, people were overcome by heat stroke and dehydration. Hospitals quickly became overloaded. Another heat wave would strike Europe in 2006, killing over 2,000 people in France alone.
Whatever you do, be prepared because it is going to get hotter as this heat wave continues.
Number 4. The 2005 Cashmere Earthquake. In October 2005, a powerful earthquake sent shockwaves through not only Pakistan, where the epicenter was, but also parts of neighboring Afghanistan and India. While the effects were far-reaching, the earthquake hit Pakistan hardest, destroying the town of Balakot almost in its entirety and causing widespread damage to the region of Kashmir. 32,000 buildings collapsed, contributing to a huge death toll of over 87,300 people, with almost as many injured. 2.8 million people were left homeless, and hundreds of thousands of animals died as well.
Conditions here for the last 12 months have been really dire for these people. These tents are very, very hot in the summer and in the cold, and the winter is coming. And it's going to be a very, very cold winter, we're told. Then these tents have no insulation and they are perishingly cold.
To make matters worse, that October was particularly cold, making conditions even harder for people left without shelter in the immediate aftermath. It remains the deadliest earthquake to hit South Asia. Number 3. The Great Sichuan Earthquake. The earthquake that struck the Sichuan province of China on March 12, 2008 was so strong that its tremors spanned thousands of miles, reaching Shanghai and Beijing.
The shake wrecked 21 million buildings. Over 5 million collapsed, including over 6,000 schools.
Within Sichuan and the city of Chengdu in particular, the destruction of poorly made schools caused the tragic deaths of thousands of children who were in class at the time. After the main earthquake, there were over 40,000 aftershocks, with hundreds of them being major quakes in their own right.
The damage just must have been devastating. I really can't see how anyone could have survived this.
The non-stop shaking continued to cause chaos, but also triggered deadly mudslides. All told, more than 69,000 people lost their lives, with another 18,000 reported as missing.
Everything they have to live for is now buried in the rubble. This town feels like it's lost its future.
Number 2. Cyclone Nargis. The 6th deadliest tropical cyclone of all time, Cyclone Nargis claimed the lives of over 138,000 people.
And thousands of homes, schools, businesses, and farms were destroyed.
Making landfall on May 2, 2008, Nargis sent a massive storm surge 25 miles inland. At the time, Myanmar had no effective system to track dangerous storms and warn people. To make matters worse, There was essentially no plan for relief or evacuation, and Myanmar's military junta initially resisted international aid.
Outside help is crucial. The United Nations says it has made a formal offer to send in assistance, but the ruling military junta has not responded.
The mishandling of the disaster led not only to the inconceivable loss of life, but also to widespread homelessness and disease outbreaks in the wake of the storm.
Everywhere we went, people looked helpless and desperate. Government food aid has arrived, but people say it's not enough to survive.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. The 2004 Indian Ocean Earthquake and Tsunami. The undersea earthquake that shook the Indian Ocean floor on December 26, 2004, was one of the strongest in history. With a staggering magnitude of 9.1, it struck just off the coast of Sumatra, Indonesia, generating immense tsunami waves that were responsible for most of the damage.
By the time it had finished, maybe 160,000 people were dead or dying. The entire city had more or less been destroyed.
100-foot waves washed over parts of Indonesia, India, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. The majority of the fatalities occurred in Aceh, Indonesia. At the time, there was no warning system for tsunamis in the Indian Ocean. People had no idea what was coming, with many still on the shore or even following the water out as it receded before the waves hit.
Just like still not believing what happened. And then when the water just like coming from behind the building like this, like around 10 meters something, it's like, okay, I need to go from here.
Roughly 230,000 people perished in the disaster, which remains the deadliest tsunami in recorded history.
And where villages stood, almost nothing is left. Nature feels disturbed, unbalanced.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.